Okay, let's get going. This is David Manel, and I'm going to be doing a webinar today. It's on a lot of new enhancements that we have in Accounting of Power. Um, there's a lot of exciting and powerful enhancements that we've added recently. So let's get going. The new features that I'm going to be showing today are the email alerts, digital checks, an easier method of signing up of clients, the ability to have 13 4-week periods for accounting periods, the ability to calculate the employer portion of FICA, default departments, a few reporting enhancements on bank feeds, although I'm not going to show this, but you no longer need to have a unique email for each client who has bank feeds. The enhanced name, there's an enhanced name search for customers, making it easier to search by first or last name, and also the category list screen. So the first thing I want to show is the email alerts. So this is the snapshot screen, and the snapshot screen has always been a very powerful screen, a good spot to start the day. You come in, you see all of your clients in one location, get some good information about them. But what they were lacking was the ability to give notifications based upon these alerts. So in this case, you see that Four Corners Investors, the cash balance was outside of the thresholds, and also the check amount was outside of the threshold. So you could come in and you could view that, but we've added a much more powerful feature here. So first of all, a lot of people maybe don't know about the alerts or how to use them. The alerts are set up by going to Company Alerts, just in general, and you can also come over here to this little spot, which will take you into the alert screen, and then from there you could go to set up alerts. And the alerts are set up, they are client specific. So you can set up an alert based upon that client's needs. For one client, maybe if the cash account is ever below $12,000, that's a major thing, and you want to be notified because there's a lot of cash being spent there in and out. Whereas other clients, maybe if they ever have 12,500, that's a large amount. So you might want to have a lower threshold here to be notified. Same thing with check amounts. Some clients will be writing lots of large checks, whereas others won't. So this way you decide based upon the client what is unusual for that client. Now, how do you set up these email alerts? Well, the first thing is you just come over here on the alert screen. There's 4 alerts, and you have the ability to just check the box that you want to email the alerts. In order for it to work, you also have to have the alert turned on. So there's 4 separate email alerts, and I'm going to go into a little bit on how they're sent out. They go to the email, the contact email for your client, but we'll see that in a little while. The first of the alerts is when the individual cash account falls below a threshold. And this alert will repeat after 7 days. This way, if a client's cash account is low one day and it's a few days before money gets put into the account, they're not going to get an email each and every day for it. But if it hasn't been rectified in a week, then it will repeat. Maybe you'll notice, I guess maybe I have the alert set too low, the cash amount. Maybe I should increase the threshold also if you see it's happening too often. Check amount above threshold. This alert will be emailed out the day after the check is written. Just the one time and the day after the check is written. The next 2 is for total accounts receivable and total accounts payable. So this alert will only go out if it's outside of the range that you consider to be normal for that company, but it's a once a month alert, just at the beginning. of each month. So here are some sample emails. I set up a few alerts with one of my clients here. You notice like on the cash balance alert, it went out on the 15th and also the 22nd, a week later, because I didn't take care of my cash problem. There's also the one here for the check transaction. This is what the emails look like. Of course, different email servers will look a little bit different, but the basic idea and the text and everything is exactly the same. This goes to your client, and as I mentioned, it's from that email that is set up under Contact Person in Accounting Power. It's going to be branded to you. It's going to come, if you have your logo will be there on the letter. And it's going to give information about the alert. So this is the one where the check was too large. They'll see the check number, they'll see the check date, who the payee was, and what the amount was. Same basic idea. This is for the cash alerts. It's going to give information, the date, and also what the balance was on that date. Okay, sorry. The next thing I want to show is digital checks. Digital checks can be a very powerful feature. It makes the bill paying cycle so much easier and so much better, and what you can offer to your clients has really been enhanced. So first of all, it's powered with a company called Checkbook.io. It makes it so it's easy for you to pay bills for your clients, and it's also your clients can use it to pay the bills themselves. The way it works is an email goes out to a vendor. The vendor opens the email. I'm going to show the emails and stuff in a while, but the vendor will open it and they'll have options on how they can receive the money. And the fee is $1 per check, and this fee is paid by the sender. So the first step for the digital checks is you have to do the registration. So you go to Company, Bank, Credit Card Account List screen. From here, you click on Digital Checks, and that will take you to a screen from Checkbook.io. And when you get there, the first question, which if you were filling it out for yourself, like if you wanted to try it for paying your own bills, which is a good way to get your feet wet with it, it's going to, or if your clients are using it, they're also going to go through the same steps. But here it says, Accountants World would like to send checks on your behalf. And if they were already logged in or if they already registered, you can just log in. Otherwise, if it's brand new, you can register. The first step is you enter your name, email address, and the password. The email address will be the login name to get into Checkbook.io if you want to go to their screens. Next, you authorize access, and you do it either as an individual or a business. I would think most cases it's going to be business with clients, but some clients do use individual checking accounts, some smaller clients. Once you get in there, you'll enter the business name, you enter the address for the business, the tax ID. There has to be a tax ID when it's a business. It has to have the birth date and the last 4 digits of the Social Security number. These are all things to verify that whoever is signing up is in fact who they claim to be. After that step, there would also be one which I didn't go into, which would be the verification of the bank account. And there's 2 ways to verify it. One is by having them send small deposits into the account, and and then they're recorded later, which is what a lot of people do now. And the other one is by actually clicking on instant verification. Whoever is doing it will enter their bank information, and they will be logging into the bank account, and there'll be a special verification step involved in there too. So once that's done, it's a pretty straightforward process. The next thing is you want to map the bank account that you've set up to the bank accounts that are set up in Accounting Power. And the way this is done is you'll go into the particular bank you want to enable the digital checks. You'll just click on the box, Digital Checks Enabled. After you click on that box, Accounting Power is going to match the routing number and the account number with the information we have for the Checkbook IO routing number and account number. And if it matches, as soon as you finish checking the box, if it matches, you're going to get a little message here: successfully mapped digital check bank account. So that's pretty easy. Then that account is mapped, and when you come back, you'll always be able to tell which account was set up by the checkbox here. So now there's a couple of ways you can do the digital checks. One is by just sending out individual checks, not dealing with payment of invoices or payment of expense invoices. This is just an individual check. You'll come to the check writing screen, enter the information, and when finished, once digital checks has been set up, this won't be dimmed anymore, so it'll be like this. It'll be live. You just click on the box for digital checks, and then at that point, the email goes out to the client, to the vendor or whoever is being paid. An important point to notice here: as soon as this is done, all the journal entries are taken care of for you. So it's pretty much the same as when you write a check, that you don't have to worry about any recording or anything. It's very simple. You just send it out, journal entries finished. Now, I've shown the bill payment process a few times before, and this isn't really a new thing, but the final step, which is what we've added, making it so easy to actually pay the bills, finishes off this process so well that I'm going to kind of go through the whole thing. I'm going to try to go through it a little bit quick until I get to the part for Checkbook IO. But anyway, the way the process works is client takes a little snapshot of an invoice from any smartphone. The invoice is saved in Accounting Power. When the staff logs in to pay the invoices, all the uploaded invoices are displayed. The staff enters the invoices. Then with a mouse click, they send the entered invoices for approval. The client approves the invoices, and then the approved invoices can be easily paid using the Checkbook IO by your staff. A client who's doing his own can also do the same basic thing. They can take a picture of an invoice and then go in and enter the invoice and do the payment and everything else. So here's the steps. First, you go to the client activity screen. You select to send out the letter to the client who you want to do it for. And you can send the letters out in bulk if you're sending it out for a bunch of them. But once the client gets the letter, the client can be right on their smartphone. They just click on the link, and it will take them to the spot that they need to set up for the bill payment. The next step, once they're in the system, is when they want to pay a bill or they want to enter a bill, they'll go to their smartphone, they'll select bills to be paid, they select the vendor who the bill is for. In this case, it's Dusty Roads Travel. They then say select docs, and it takes them to a screen where either they can take a picture of an invoice. If they're out at a client and they have an invoice in front of them, they can take a picture of it, Or if they've already taken a bunch of pictures, they could go right to the photo library and take it from there. Once they get there, I think people are pretty used to doing this nowadays with their smartphones. They just come here, they click on Use Photo, it goes into the system. They're here, they see a little picture of it, and then they select Upload, and that sends it in. Now I'm going to show you quickly how the client activity screen works and how it can help you follow the workflow through. So in this case, as one of your staff members or yourself comes into the system, you see the unprocessed bills. You can click on the heading, so the ones with the most unprocessed bills would be there at the top. It'll sort according to that. But anyway, I see that Whitehorse Sales has 3 unprocessed bills. Knowing this, now I go into Expenses, Enter Bills. I'll see here that there's 3 unprocessed bills. I click on it, and I see the 3 bills, the one that I just entered, Dusty Roads Travel. I click on that. It'll open up the Enter Bill screen. The invoice will be right here. It's very easy to enter the information right from the invoice. After that, you save it and enter the other 2. Now, the workflow has kind of gone down the screen for you. Now you no longer have any bills to process, but now there's 9 that need to be approved. So the next step is you have the email sent to the client for approval. That email is going to be a lot like the email I showed before. There'll be a little link in it, except this one will be to approve bills. They click on that link. They can be either on their smartphone or on their computer, and it'll take them to the approved bill screen. And from this screen, they determine what they want to pay. They may want to pay all their bills. They may want to pay just a portion of them. And in this case, I chose they're paying them all except one of them. They're not paying the whole amount. You can enter a different amount. They're paying $1,850 instead of $2,000. Once they're done with that, they go to Approve Payments. They click on Approve Payments. A little window asks, it shows them the total amount, and it also says, lets them choose the date they want to pay it. Now once again, now they come here and the bills are ready to be paid. So there was still one left to be approved. That's the remaining $150 on that one invoice. And there's 16 that would be ready for payment. Now, for the next screens, I actually went to a client that I really had set up for Checkbook IO. So there's not 16 bills here waiting to be paid, but the example is the same when I'm showing you how it works. So I have 3 bills here that need to be paid, and they've been approved to be paid. An important thing, I mentioned it before, but an email is required, obviously. Otherwise, how are you going to email it out to the client? But what we've done is we've added a column here where you'll be able to see if there is an email for that client. So right off the bat, I could tell that Dale Sally doesn't have an email. Really, I can't pay him this way at this point. Either I would have to go back to vendors and enter the email, or maybe he just doesn't have an email, and in that case, you would write a check, a regular check for it. So the next step is you select which one. So I selected these 2 to pay. Even though this one doesn't have an email, I selected it just to kind of show you what would happen. You then go to Digital Checks, you click on Digital Checks, and a message will come up. It's going to let you know that Dale Sally did not have an email address, so no digital check was issued for that payee. And it also lets you know that you successfully issued a digital check to the payee, Dave Manel. So I'm very excited. I'm going to be getting $5. The sad part is I also had to pay myself $5, but this was a real transaction that I did here. So it gives a good notification. That's really what I'm trying to show here. Sorry. So now the vendor receives the email, and the email is going to say that a digital check has been sent out. It gives a little message here, no more paper, just send a digital check. When the vendor opens up the email, they're going to get a choice here. Now this was one that I'd sent before while we were testing, and so that's why it says sample here, but they have a couple of choices when they get it. Everything else is exactly the same. The vendor can either deposit it online, which they click on this, they go through some verification steps, very similar to the verification steps when somebody's signing up for Checkbook IO. Or they can also choose to print the check, and there is also the ability to get an image of the check, take a picture of that image, and deposit it electronically that way. One thing I would say is when you first start, when you or your clients first start paying the bills this way, they should let the vendor know that they're going to do it, because in today's world, people are hesitant to just click on anything like this and give bank information or verification information. Now, this is the check I just sent myself today. And the one thing I wanted to mention here, see, since I had already sent a check earlier to Dave Manel, the first time I had to verify everything. Future times when a vendor receives a check, they don't really have to do anything. There's no action required. They just open the email and the check will be automatically deposited to their account. And it'll give them the information here. It does say, if you wish to cancel this transaction, please email the sender. And I will show in a little while how you would cancel the transaction. Now, when any bills are paid, either by you or by your clients, the client is going to receive a notification that the bill was paid. So in this case, a while back while I was setting up some test cases, I paid three bills. The client will get an email showing each and every check that has been paid. The other thing the client has is they can log in to their Checkbook IO dashboard. And now when they signed up, as you saw, there was they give the email, which is the username for logging in, and they also give the password. And the address is just checkbook.io.com. And so they would go there and they can see, they'll be able to see what checks how much they've sent out. If, as I mentioned before, if somebody had wanted to cancel a check or something or not receive it, they can come in here and cancel the payment. One other thing you'll notice here that it says incoming funds. And we don't have this yet, but we are now working on being able to do this for receiving payments also. Okay, so that's it for the on how to show the digital checks. Both of these two features, the email alerts and the digital checks, can really enhance your practice. The alerts make it that your client gets an email from you and it really lets them know that you're right on top of things with them. And the digital checks make it so easy for you to offer a bill payment system, or also so easy for them to pay their own bills. Compared to the old days of writing out the check, signing the check, putting the paper in the printer, although we no longer have those dot matrix printers where the paper would all get jammed up. It's a little easier, but still, you got to get the paper in, it's got to print out, you got to fold the check, put it in an envelope, stamp it, somehow make sure it gets to the post office. So there was a lot of work. This is so easy, a click and it's paid. Now, another feature I want to show, this isn't really in Accounting Power. This affects Accounting Power, Payroll Relief, all of our products. It's very easy for me to show, but it is a big saver and something that really makes signing up clients so much easier than it used to be. It used to be when you would sign up a client, first you would come to this screen, which is on the main portal, the client setup. You enter all the information, and then you would save it. But then if you wanted to use that client in Payroll Relief or Accounting Power, you would have to, in Accounting Power or in Payroll Relief, go to Client Management, go to Sign Up Client, select that client from the from the list of clients available to sign up, and then it would be done. Now, right when you're entering the client, you will be able to specify which programs you want it to be set up for. In this case, I signed it up for all 4, but you can choose whatever would be according to your desires. And of course, if somebody doesn't have Payroll Relief, or if they don't have after-the-fact payroll or Cloud Cabinet, or even Accounting Power, except that you wouldn't be here for this webinar if you didn't have it. But the only things that will show up here are the products that that you own. So it just makes it so much easier. Now when you go into Accounting Power, the client is ready for you to open up. It'll be in the client list, it'll be in the drop down, and you're ready to go. Another little tip here is if you're importing clients through Excel, the Excel spreadsheet that we use will now have 4 columns. And if you go to the spreadsheet, first maybe you export from some other client, from wherever you're exporting your clients to enter them. Then you'll have an Excel spreadsheet, and you can add the 4 columns and then just select which products you want to be automatically signed up for. And it's much easier to do it all in one spot on one spreadsheet than having to go to each individual client to do it. So that's just a little tip to make it easier, especially for people who are just starting. Okay, so it didn't take too much to show that one, but I really think that's a time saver. It's much more intuitive, and it's just a wonderful feature. This feature that I'm showing now won't take me too much to show either, but for people who need it, this is a big enhancement. And what it is we allow now for the 13 period accounting, which is 13 4-week periods. And the way that you do it is you would come down here to where it says change number of periods. Let me just go back to show it again. You would come down here to where it says change number of periods. You select 13 4-week periods. The next step would be you just click on change. And once you click on change, it'll now change all of the period ending dates to be according to 4-week periods. You enter the starting date because it's not always the first day of the year. In my example, I left it there. And you also will enter the ending date. We'll calculate the book year end based upon 13 4-week periods, but because 13 4-week periods loses 1 day every year, that's why it's called 52 53-week accounting. After a few years, you have to have 1 extra week, and that's the period where actually you would enter a different book year end, is the one where you're picking up the 1 extra week. So it's a big feature. There's a lot of places, a lot of screens, a lot of things that had to be done in order to make this work. And for certain types of businesses, restaurants, a lot of restaurants, if it's a franchise, a lot of them require to have this type of accounting. And also, even if it's not a franchise, when you use this type of accounting, it gives, as I'm sure that those who are in that business know, it gives much better financial results because you're really comparing apples to apples each period and year over year. And you're not It's not that 1 month is 31 days, 1 month is 28, and things like that. So basically all we do, once this is in here, as I showed before, the dates are here, and now in the program, everywhere you go, the drop-downs will have the new dates. If you had an existing client, we'll now move, based upon the transaction date, we'll move all the transactions to the appropriate period. And you can do financial statements based upon the new dates. You can do general journal entries. You can have 13 general journal entries, 13 adjusting journal entries per year. The bank recs are still the same. Bank recs are still based upon a regular period that you would receive typically with a bank rec. So that's it for this. Once again, let me reiterate, anything that's been entered that you've been doing accounting for and now you're changing to this, we'll make sure that all the transactions are put into the proper periods. Okay, another enhancement, something that people have been asking for quite a while, is when you're using the payroll register, we will now calculate the employer portion of the payroll taxes. So anybody who's using the payroll register, the first time you go in there, you're going to see this message. Employer FICA accounts or employer other taxes accounts are not set. Please set these up in accounts company payroll. So what you do is you go to company payroll, this screen, and you enter the appropriate accounts for those three fields. And here they are. One is the employer portion of the FICA. Typically, you would enter Social Security taxes. The other one is other employer taxes. This will be like SUTA, or maybe if you're in a state that has disability, the SDI. And also you have to set up the payable account and the payable for the FICA withholding. So you have to make sure all these accounts are set up. Once that's done, then you can go back to the payroll register. And the example I'm going to show is when you're actually copying the payroll from a previous payroll. So I'm copying it from the one that I did on 4/1/2017. The pay date is 5/1/2017. As soon as it generates, based upon the payroll information that was from the last period, it's going to calculate the Social Security tax and the Medicare tax. And based upon what was calculated for those two, it's now going to calculate the employer FICA. And it's good, quick, you save it, and it's there. But of course, what if there were changes? So, first I want to show also about the other employer taxes. Other employer taxes, this isn't after the fact, so you probably have them in front of you, but other employer taxes, we don't do any calculations for SUTA or FUTA or disability, so you have to enter the amount here. But once it's entered there, you don't have to worry about the journal entry because we'll take care of that for you. So the next question, which I started to mention before, well, that's good, it calculated that, but what if the amounts are different? So as soon as I enter a different amount here for Heidi Gertrude, she now has $2,500 for this check. And as soon as that was entered, the Social Security tax and Medicare tax was recalculated, and so was the employer portion of the of the FICA. Now, what if you want to override the Social Security tax or the employer portion? All you do is, after you've entered the wages, you just go in and enter the override amounts. Now, if you override these two, you also have to override the employer FICA. It won't take these two after they're calculated and put it here. If you want to override your FICA with a 0, the way to do it is you go to the employee setup and mark it as exempt. Because if you remove these FICA amounts here, we just automatically at that point, that's our cue to recalculate it for you. And the second step is to remove an override, you simply delete it. So as soon as I would remove these overrides, it would calculate the proper Social Security and Medicare tax and the employer FICA again for me. Okay, just one second. And then, of course, all the journal entries are taken care of for you. Whereas before, you had to actually come in and make these entries for the employer portions. Now, another enhancement we added is for people who have departmental accounting. We've set up when you're doing a vendor setup or a customer setup, you can specify what department you want it to default to. So in this case, I'm in the vendor expenses screen, Andy's Wholesale Nursery, and I selected department number 2. So what that means is now any transactions I make in the future, it's going to default that expense goes to department number 2. The same thing goes for the customers. You come in here, Holiday Ski Hill Enterprises, and I said that any transactions are going to default to department number 1. Now, of course, when you're entering the transactions, you can change them. You could allocate them amongst different departments also if you wanted to. So here's the example, or at least one example. If I'm in the expenses enter bill screen for Andy's Wholesale Nursery, it's going to default here to store number 2. If I'm on the write-up entry screen, same thing. It'll default to the proper department for that vendor. And this is for all screens where you make transactions that you can enter customers and vendors. Now we have several reporting enhancements that we've added. First of all, we've added 2 new reports. One is the vendor bill summary. One is the past due invoice report. They're kind of similar to aging reports, but they have a little bit more flexibility in them. And this enables users to easily manage billing and invoicing. We've also added an additional filter on the customer statement tab. Now the customer statement is no longer in the reporting section. Now customer statement is now under sales, and then you go down to the customer center, and that's where it is. And then we also, which when I show it to you, I think you'll understand what this does, but for the trial balance report, we've added the ability to print the adjustment details, kind of similar to a working trial balance, I guess you could say. And then general ledger report sorting. It always printed before the general ledger strictly by account number, which was fine as long as all of the types were also in the same order as account number. But sometimes, for whatever reason, you may have some assets that are account numbers in the 1000s, but you have another one that's in the 8000s for some reason. So if you wanted it to print all assets first, you could sort the report by account type instead of just by account number. So let me give a couple examples of these reports. This is the past due invoices report. Now you notice we now have a few ways to sort it. You can sort by name, by due date, or by amount. So this way you can print out a report and see all of your oldest invoices. or all the invoices with the largest amounts outstanding. So in this particular case, I chose it by due date, and you can see which ones are the oldest. So you know, yeah, Shelley Crawford is really behind for some reason on making the payments. Vendor bill summary, you have the same sort ability here, name, due date, and amount. And this report will give a little bit different information though than that one. This one won't be just for outstanding. I mean, it won't be just for past due. It will be for any unpaid bills. And what that will do for you is you'll have the ability, once again, this one I sorted by amount instead of due date, but you'll also have the ability to see which checks have been, or which bills have been approved for payment, but they have not been paid yet. Another thing about these reports, they're always based upon as of today. Whereas when you're doing the aging report, you could do an aging report for a past period to see what your status was at a previous time. And kind of going along with this, which isn't there yet, is you will have the ability coming soon. I'm not saying a date yet, but where you'll be able to email these reports. And at that point, we're planning on adding the ability to directly from the report screen to email any report to your client. These two that were done here, they were made strictly for the purpose of a good informational report to email to your clients. Now, customer statement filter. What this does is it allows you to choose what you really want to see when you're sending out the customer statements. Usually you're not going to want to send out a customer statement to every customer who may or may not have balances or may not have activity. You may just want to send out to customers with activity. So as soon as I select this and click on view, I'm only going to see the customers with the activities. Or you may want to do it for customers with balances, because you may have customers, there's no current activity, but they still have an outstanding balance. So you can choose customers with balance. And then you can select them and email them out to the clients from this screen. And once again, as I mentioned before, this used to be, and now it's been here for a little while, but it used to be under reports. Now it's under sales, customer center, customer statements. Okay, now this is that trial balance report that I mentioned. So what this does is you'll have the ability to come here and you can include adjustment details. And what that will do is when you see the trial balance, any adjustments, you'll be able to see the description of the adjustment, the amount of the adjustment, and also if you'd entered a memo information about that adjustment, you would be able to see it right on the printout. So when you're doing you're reviewing at year end and you have a lot of different adjustments, you print out the trial balance report and you can actually see how they affected and where they came from on the trial balance. Now I just wanted to go back here and show one other thing, is you don't have the ability in Accounting Power to select which columns you want to include in a report. But you do have the ability here where it says select view. If I were to click on this, there's about 5 or 6 different reports. This is the one that's the adjusted report. And it has beginning balance, transactions, unadjusted, adjustments, and adjusted balance. When you select the other reports, they will include other different columns. So the point is, we don't have the ability to specify which columns, but in fact we do based upon you selecting which report you want to print. And when you select it, then you'll see which columns are included. It's just a little thing I wanted to bring out here. And you also have the ability to include notes and tick marks if you're using those methods, or to show debits and credits for the transactions and adjustments. So that's that new trial balance report. General ledger, as I mentioned before, there's not really much to say here. The whole point is, if you choose type, it's going to default to code, but if you choose type, it'll print all assets, liabilities, capital, revenue, expenses in that order, regardless of what the account number order is. Okay, now for the enhanced name search. The way our customers worked before, the name field or the company name field is just one big field. There's not a first name or last name. So it used to be, if you were looking to enter, in my case, I wanted to find Dwight Eisenhower, but it was entered as Eisenhower, comma, Dwight. So if I didn't know the first name, or I would have to actually type out the whole thing in order to find it. Now, as long as I type in a few letters, which really searches anywhere in the string, but its main use is for first names and last names. As soon as I type in DW here, it will find Dwight Eisenhower because there's a DW somewhere in the name. So it makes it much easier. And the reverse is also true. Like if I was looking, if the customer was entered as Dwight Eisenhower, but I didn't remember the first name, as soon as I typed EI, I would be able to find it. So this is a feature that makes it easier to go through and find different customers. As of now, it's just in the customer screen. I do not know yet if we're adding it to vendors. We haven't decided. The final thing I want to show is the new category list screen. Now this screen is if you go to company accounts, and we have certain categories that are needed for different types of things. If you're doing bookkeeping and you're entering invoices, you have to have accounts payable category, or you have to have an accounts receivable category. If you're entering credit card statements, you have to have a credit card statement category. So what you'll do is you'll click on category list and you can view all of them. And from in here, you would select which category you want to be adding. And in this case, I'm doing sales revenue. And as soon as you set up the sales revenue, you would also select which account you were setting up as the sales revenue account. And over here it tells you what that category is for. Like here, returns and allowances is the default account for credit memos. Sales revenue category, which I'm mentioning down here because this is a common call, is when the percent of sales isn't working on a financial statement, it's almost always because the category was not set up yet for sales revenue. And that's what we use in order to calculate it, is we use the total sales revenue. So without that, we can't calculate the percentage of sales. Okay, now I think I showed a lot of good enhancements here. They can really help you. Some of these I'm really excited about. We've been waiting for a long time for a few of them. And let me see if there's any questions here that need to be answered, or that I can answer simply. So the one thing is, does it calculate FUTA and the SUTA? No, as I mentioned during the thing, we don't calculate that. Now, if you're using our AFP, of course it would, Or if you use our system for, which I might as well bring up now, if you're using Payroll Relief to do the payroll for a client, all the calculations and everything for payroll can be automatically transferred over into Accounting Power. And the question is there an interface with Payroll Relief so they don't need to input the payroll? And the answer is yes. And the question, do you enter the FICA share yourself? No, you don't have to enter the FICA share yourself. That will automatically be calculated, as I showed. Will the system account for employees reaching the Social Security limit? Yes, it will. And what order are the accounts if we select type in the general ledger? What will happen is, first it will go according to type. So it'll be, but then within the type, all the accounts will be in account order. So it just makes that the number one sort is type, the secondary sort will be account order. So if you have all of your assets are all in the thousands and cash is account number 1,000 and accounts receivable is 1,400 or something, and then you have one more cash account for some reason is 9,000, it'll print the 1,000, the 1,400, and then it'll be the 9,000. And then it'll go to payables, and if the payables were 2,000s, it'll start in the 2,000s. And can you use a mix of digital checks and paper checks for others? Yes, you can. And the question is, can I show the setup for the digital checks again? I can't go back and show it, but this webinar should be up, which will be under Resources Webinars. So it should be up there tomorrow to look at it. And that's all the questions. My name is Dave Manell, as I mentioned before. My email is dmunnell@accountantsworld.com. Any suggestions for enhancements? Any suggestions for things you would like to see in a webinar? I appreciate getting those emails. I appreciate you taking your time, letting me show the program, and I hope this was beneficial for you. Thank you very much.